Hey there, happy Friday to you, everybody. Meteorologist Jim Dickey back with you with another edition of Tropics Talk. Now, let's start by looking out across the wide view of the Atlantic, and all around things still fairly quiet. Couple areas of some enhanced thunderstorm activity. One here into Central America, nothing to worry about out of that. Little tropical wave here east of the Caribbean. That's going to sort of streak its way across the Lesser Antilles, heading the general direction of Hispaniola and Cuba. Enhancing rain next week there. Tuesday, Wednesday timeframe could even see some reflection of that moisture working towards us here in Florida by the late part of next week. I think that helps to up our rain chances a little bit, but nothing else to worry about out of that. Only other area on the board, and the only area the Hurricane Center has highlighted for potential development, would be in the western side of the Gulf, the Northwest Gulf. Same low we've been tracking all week long. Is drifting its way towards Texas, showing no signs of organization at this point in time. In fact, it's not really even producing much rain right now. I've been closely watching the radar trends. I've been closely watching the satellite trends. I just don't see any hint that this is on the verge of becoming a tropical depression or storm. 10% development chance. Latest update from the Hurricane Center. I'm going to switch over into our analysis mode here so we can get a closer look at the satellite presentation. And you can note right about there on the laps, a little bit of swirling going on as this works its way onshore in Texas. That is the upper level low pressure area sort of supporting all of this. It's now, well, first of all, it's void of any type of convective activity, any type of thunderstorm activity around that upper level low, which you would think would be what this would try to coalesce around if this was going to become a tropical depression. Instead, that's now outrunning the deeper convection that's out there over the waters of the Gulf. Those storms that are sort of streaking to follow the upper level support. Yeah, at this point, with the upper low going onshore and with the sort of lower level trough moving onshore later on today, tomorrow, just the chances of development continue to fall by the moment. Perhaps we see something try to organize under that convection, but I would take the under on that. 10% chance, probably about right from the Hurricane Center. So that is unlikely to become a tropical depression, let alone a tropical storm, or take a name off the list. So let's switch gears and talk about what's down the pike next week. First of all, next week is the final week of July. Look across the basin during July. Tends to be a pretty quiet month overall when storms do form, and we've seen this play out this July. They tend to form close to home. Oftentimes they have non-tropical origins, like the scenario we were watching for this week. We had that upper low that stalled out front, drift its way into the Gulf, and now we're watching to see if something can spin up from that. Not happening, but that's where you tend to see things form in the Gulf, in the Southwest Atlantic, off of stalled fronts, things like that, and then off to the east of the Carolinas. Watch what happens as I switch this map. And again, this is looking at the colors where storms have formed, formation points throughout the month of July over the last 100 years. Watch as I switch over to August. We open up much more real estate to formation, and you see the most likely area for storms to form, what we call the main development region in the eastern side of the basin. This as we get into August, particularly the mid to late part of August, we have to start to watch the disturbances we call African easterly waves that emerge off the coast of Africa and move westward because conditions become a little more ripe. The later you go into August for those storms to be able to develop into depressions and tropical storms as they work westward, as they approach the Caribbean. But furthermore, much more yellow on the map speaks to as well just the overall number of storms tends to increase through August. We're heading towards the peak of hurricane season. And with that in mind, right on cue, there's a pretty decent signal in the models this morning that a wave that emerges off the coast of Africa during the early to mid part of next week will have an opportunity to develop into a tropical depression or tropical storm as it works westward. This is from the ensemble of the European forecast model, looking at where low pressure comes together in different members of the ensemble, a low that would be strong enough to produce winds 30, 35 miles per hour. And there you go, over 50% of the members spinning up a pretty decent low pressure area south and west of the Cabo Verde Islands. We switch over to the operational run of that European forecast model, and you can see what this is doing. So we start here today, lots of thunderstorm activity out there, no organization. It's once we get into early next week. There's the wave emerging off of Africa. Look at all of that rain here. And note the winds. What we watch for is those winds closing off, becoming a more defined circulation. So it certainly has a fairly pronounced wave of low pressure, open wave of low pressure out there by Tuesday. That continues to drift westward. Little spin up, but still sort of an open wave as we get into Friday and Saturday, and then working towards the Caribbean as an open wave by Friday evening. Not something to worry about at this point, just something we'll be watching. Still about 5 days or so to figure out exactly what this is going to do. And overall, the environment's still looking fairly hostile to any tropical wave that would emerge off of Africa right now. There's still going to be Saharan dust to contend with. There's still going to be quite a bit of wind shear to contend with. But it all sort of should serve as a signal, as a sign that peak season is approaching. And we're going to have to start to keep a much closer eye onto what is going on out there near the coast of Africa. This is showing you all the activity over the last 100 years in the Atlantic. Storms out there by date. Clearly, once we get to August 1st, uptick in activity. Once you get to the midpoint of August, that's when peak season really clicks in. Mid-August through mid-October, about 3/4 of all the storms that have formed over the last 100 years form in that stretch. That's the peak of hurricane season. It's still ahead of us. So, I know it's been quiet over the last 2 months, the first 2 months of hurricane season. We expect that to be. We still have much more ahead of us than what's behind us. And of course, anything out there, we'll be tracking it for you here. The Gulf Coast Storm Team will be tracking that all for you. I'm sure we'll have plenty more to talk about with that system in the Eastern Atlantic next week. So we will see you back here for Tropics Talk then.